Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live today, you're welcome to call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM or on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. You're always welcome to join me live through the Zoom link, which is available from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. They're scheduled from Monday to Thursday from 9 till 10 in the morning, and we're just wrapping up our week 1 of our 9-week course. Monday is a holiday here in Ontario, so we will not be broadcasting on Monday, and we will resume on Tuesday at our usual time. So hopefully you can enjoy a long weekend doing whatever brings you some joy. A reminder of what work to submit once you are completed some of your work. The support questions, the ones with the pencil icon, are not for marking, they're practice problems. So you decide which ones and how many to do. If you understand a concept, feel free to skip questions. You don't need to do more work just because it is there. If you need more practice, that is also totally fine. So just let me know and I can send you more practice. The key questions, the ones marked with the little key icon, are the ones to submit for marking. So please do all of them. Show all of your work, your steps, your thinking. This way I can give you credit for all of your understanding. And also if you're struggling with anything, it helps me understand where you might be going wrong. And that gives me more information so that I can support you and help fill in those gaps. There are 3 methods to submit your working. The first method is to scan and send your work in electronically. So scan your completed work in, and if you have a smartphone, you can do that either through the Notes app or if you have Android, you can use the Google Drive app. They both have scan functions. You can use other apps as well. And if you don't have a smartphone or that's not working for you, you can also send a picture. That's fine. Just scanning means that it's a little bit easier to read and it doesn't take up as much space. So, and then you can send it to either through email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, or you can send it to me through Facebook Messenger to B Slate Wahsa. Oh, geez. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. So we have an outdoor mailbox at our location 74 Front Street with a big red building next to the post office. And we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. So you can just put it in there. And then the third method is to hand your work into your DEC. So they can then either send it through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, my Facebook and YouTube are both under the name B Slate Wahsa. You can friend me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you get notifications every time I upload a video. After our all right, keep it on. Here we go. So math is a very visual subject. So it is going to set you up for the most success if you can the videos. So either joining me live through Zoom, or if you can't do that, watching the replays on YouTube. If you don't have reliable internet, as it happens to all of us, then you can let me know and I can send you a recording of the videos. So just be in touch with me and we will figure that out. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me. My email address is bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. That's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE. My Facebook is bslate Wahsa. You can call me and connect with me or leave a message for me at 807-737-1488. Toll free is 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Of course, as this is a long weekend, I won't be in the office until Tuesday of next week. So I can follow up with you then. All right, so today is day 4 of our course. It is our first Throwback Thursday where we're going to be focusing on lessons 1 through 3. So I'll explain to you what that is. So we're going to start reviewing a little bit already. And why we're reviewing already? Well, we are reviewing because research has been done. Started by and published by Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885. And he's coined the phrase, the forgetting curve. And so this is the fact that when we learn something new, we understand, if we know it, we understand to the best of our ability. And then immediately as time progresses, as days go by, we immediately start to forget it. And right after we learn it, we forget it really, really quickly. So we lose that information really, really quickly. And over time it slows down. But after just a week, we've already lost 60%. We only remember 40% of what we learned a week ago. So we know that if we often in schools, often in classes, students learn something, review it for the test, and then completely forget about it. And by the end of the course, when they're doing their exam or culminating, they're like, what was that? What did we even learn that? I have no recollection of it. Or you ask a student at the beginning of the year, what did you learn last year? And they have no idea. So it's because of this reality is that we forget things really quickly and we lose a lot of that information. So further studies have been done that if we review, if we go back to that information frequently and consistently, then we don't forget it as much, obviously, because we're reviewing it, we're going to remember it, but we don't forget it as fast either. So if we review, then we still forget it over time, but it doesn't happen as quickly. And so if we keep reviewing that information, we continue to retain it because we continue to visit it again. And we also, as we forget it, it takes us longer to forget the same amount. So it's really beneficial to come back to material and check in with it, touch base with it, and make sure that you know what it's talking about so that we don't have to, at the end of the course, it's not like, what was the first unit? What were we talking about that first week? We've revisited it. So every week, generally, we're going to be doing a Throwback Thursday where we review the previous material as well as the weeks before it. So we won't, obviously there's not enough time to go through every single lesson, every single question, but we're going to continue, we're going to touch back to that material so that by the end of the course, hopefully everything is still sort of fresh in your mind. But before we dive into that, we're going to do brain activation or mental math. So we know that I'm not an advocate for math mad minutes. Doing something that is based on memorization doesn't really help us learn facts. It takes up space in our brain that we don't really have room for. So we end up pushing that information out of our brain if we're not using it frequently. Whereas if we learn strategies that we can apply to various situations, that's much more useful. Remembering the strategies opposed to the facts is much more beneficial. So in this class, we focus on learning strategies and we spend time every day doing just a little bit of mental math to reinforce those things. So our question today All right, sorry, reconnected to Zoom. Sorry about that. Let's get us back in. Okay, so when we're sharing, instead of sharing by ones, we're going to share by fives. So we're going to say, okay, if I do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So instead of going through and having like 5 groups and sharing by ones all the way through, that's one way that you could totally do it and do it by ones. But we can do it where we share groups of 5, and or we could have done it in groups of 2 and then see what happens. So 5 is a fairly friendly number, so we did it with 5s and we got to 30 exactly. So we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups, and so 30 divided by 5 is 6. So you can share not just by ones, but you can share by more than one, which sometimes is quicker. And we often do that with 5s or 10s because they're fairly friendly numbers. That's why I did this example with that. And in the future, we'll look at something that's a little bit more complicated and how we would go about doing it. Okay, so before we do some actual question practice, we're just going to review the highlights of what we've done this past week. So lesson 1 was earning an income. So we talked about salary, which is your pay based on a yearly amount. So your salary is always, they might use the word annual or yearly, both of those. So for the year, salary is for the year, but it's paid in regular intervals. So it's not, you don't just get paid one lump sum at one moment, you get paid at intervals over time. So they usually are monthly, semi-monthly, which is twice a month, bi-weekly, which is every second week, or weekly are the fairly common ways that people get paid. Maybe there are other ways, but those are the most common ways. Piecework is when you get paid based on the number of items produced or sold. So you get paid per piece of work. And then we also looked at job advertisements and found them in newspapers, job agencies, and job banks. And they include details such as your rate of pay, your benefits, any education, experience, and skills needed. So we just sort of understood those because that's really important when you're looking for work. Yes, so we're not going to go through the success criteria. We already did those. Hopefully you can do all of these things. So then the same with the lesson 2. So was commission and hourly rates. So hourly rates are earnings based on how many hours you worked. So it depends on the exact hours. It's not a set for the year. Canada and Ontario has a minimum wage. So you have to earn at least $15 an hour in Canada for the general adult wage. So that's really important and really something that worker activists have really worked hard for. Then we talked about overtime, which is usually time and a half or 1.5 times the your usual rate, sorry. And this is for any time over your usual daily or weekly hours, you get paid that extra. It doesn't have to be time and a half. It could be double time. That's dependent upon your employer, but it is at least time and a half, 1.5. And then commission, the earnings are percentages of the total sales. So you could have base wage plus your commission, but that commission rate, you have to find the percentage of whatever it is that you sell or the profits from your sales. All right, again, we have criteria from this lesson. And so hopefully you are able to do and you understand all of these things. And then our third lesson this week was gross and net pay. So gross and net income. Gross is your total earnings throughout a given period before any deductions are made. So this is just based on that hourly or salary base, how much you're getting paid. And then your net is your take-home pay. So the amount that employees earn after all payroll deductions are subtracted. So net is what you actually take home. Gross is what you actually make. Standard deductions that we focused on that all employers take off of your paycheck and you contribute to, which then benefits you in the long run. CPP, which is Canada Pension Plan, which is your income when you retire. EI, employment insurance, which is income if you're either unemployed and you need to apply for that. So that gives you a bit of a pay while you're looking for work. And this also includes parental leave if you are on leave as a new parent. And then income tax, which the income tax we pay pays for services like healthcare, education, national defense. So we all pay into that in order to pay for those services overall. We talked about monthly expenses, particularly fixed and variable expenses. So fixed, it means that it's the same amount each week or each month, and they are generally paid at the same time each week or each month. So you know it's going to happen, you know how much it's going to be, you know when it's going to happen. The variable expenses are things that change in amount or when or how often you pay them. So these are things that you can sort of predict. Some of them you can sort of predict that are going to happen, but you don't know exactly how much it's going to be or exactly necessarily when you're going to need to pay it. Or they're also, this would include like emergency funds or like bigger repairs or things like that that you might not know exactly need to happen, but it's variable, it changes. You're going to have to do, say you need to fix an appliance in your house, you need to fix your stove, you're going to do that. You're not going to know that this month is going to be the month that you need to fix your stove. And all of a sudden you do that, and that's a variable cost. But the next month, hopefully you don't have to do that again. And then our success criteria, hopefully you can do these things in order to be comfortable with this material. All right, so now that we've gone over a review of what the content is, what we've covered this week, we are now, excuse me, I seem to have the yawns. Okay, we are now going to do some mixed practice. So I've taken questions that cover that material that we've just talked about, and I've mixed them up. So we don't know for certain if we're doing overtime question or if we're doing monthly expenses question. We have to figure that out based on what the question is asking. So that's part of what we're practicing. We're practicing actually doing the math, but also understanding what the question is asking so that we can critically think about the tools and the strategies that we can use. All right, so question number 1. All works for a landscaping company in the summer. For each lawn they earn $15. Determine how much they would earn in a day if they cut 10 lawns. Sorry, so many typos on this page. Obviously, I wasn't awake when anyway, my bad. It happens. So if they cut 10 lawns, so their pay is $15 per lawn times 10 lawns equals $150. So if they cut 10 lawns in a day, they make $150. Determine how much they would earn in a 5-day week if they cut 8 lawns a day. So if to do this, we need to say, okay, well, first for 1 day, it's $15 times 8. So $15 times 8, well, I know that $15 times 10 is 150, and this is 2 less jobs, so that's $30 less, so this is going to be 120. Totally, you can use your calculator, but you can also use strategies like that using friendly numbers to help you figure it out if that works for you. So then for 5 days, we know that it's 120 a day times 5 is equal to 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 20 is 100. So 500 plus 100 is $600. So Al would earn $600 that week if they cut 8 lawns every day for 5 days. All right, number 2. Oh, and that would be a piecework question, right? So we're finding out how much they do per piece of work, how much they make. So that is, I'm just going to write a note that this is piecework to help us learn how to identify questions. All right, question 2. Devin earns a monthly salary of $2,650. How much does he earn a year? B, semi-monthly, or C, biweekly? So this is a salary question because we have the monthly salary and we need to figure out other pay schedules to figure out just to understand that. So if this is monthly, salary is 2,650. So then for a year, we know that there are 12 months per year. So that means that we do 12 times 2,650, which is equal to, and I'm going to use my calculator for this one because my brain doesn't want to do it. So 12 times 2,650 is equal to 31,800. So a year, Devin makes $31,800 a year. Now, for semi-monthly is part B. So we can do this. There's 2 different ways that we can do this. Sorry. We can do this so that because we know that semi-monthly is twice a month. So because we know his monthly salary is 2,650, we can divide. So method 1, we could do 2,650 divided by 2. And that is going to be 1,325. That one I can do in my head, not too trickily. So semi-monthly would be 1,325. The other method that we could do is take our yearly amount, $31,800, and we could divide it by 24 because there are 24 semi-monthly payments, twice a month payments in a year. So then if we were to do it that way, we would do 31,800 divided by 24, and that equals 1,325. It equals the same amount, which is what we hope. Don't know why it keeps jumping. Sorry about that. So you can do it either way, and that is fine. Whatever makes more sense for you. Now, bi-weekly, which is part C, we can't do it in 2 different ways because monthly isn't, we can't divide monthly into a common number of weeks. So bi-weekly, we need to go back to our yearly amount. So because there are 26 a year, 26 bi-weekly payments a year. So we need to go from 31,800 divided by 26. So 31,800 divided by 26 is equal to $1,223.08. 1223.08. So this one, we have to go back to our yearly. So often we have to go to our yearly amount in order to figure it out because we know how many weeks, how many months, how many semi-monthly, how many bi-weekly payments are in a year. So doing it from year can be really useful. But sometimes there's another method that we can do that is logical. You don't have to do it. As you saw with part B, there can be more than one way. I'm not looking necessarily for a particular way. You can do it for B, either one of these ways, and you totally get the right answer. And that's totally a legitimate way to do it. But some of them bi-weekly, for example, there's only really one way to do it to get the accurate answer because you can't say, well, there's 4 weeks in a month, and therefore I can just do it, divide the month into 2, because then that's what semi-monthly is. So you wouldn't get the right answer. As you can see, semi-monthly and biweekly are close, but slightly different. So it's just important to be paying attention to the overall picture. Okay, keep going. All right, number 3, Julie earns $55,000 as a data entry clerk. Calculate her annual net pay. So we have, so this is a deductions question because we're looking for the annual net pay and we need to figure out what we have to deduct, which we've talked about is kind of tricky. We're going to talk about more next week in terms of taxes, but we'll do our best. So EI, we know that we deduct, we do our salary, our yearly salary, because we're looking for our annual amount. So we do 55,000 times our EI rate, which is 1.58%, so 0.0158. And we're going to use our calculator to do that. So 55,000 times 0.0158, which gives us an answer of 869. So then we look and we say, okay, EI, we can pay up to $889.54. We're not over that. 869 is not over that. So we pay $869 in income or in EI deductions. So then for CPP, we do the same thing, 55,000 times our CPP percentage. So 5.45%, so 0.0545, which 55,000 times 0.0545 equals $2,997.50. Sorry, $29.97.50. Okay, so then we look back and we say, okay, well, CPP, we only pay up to $2,898. And with our calculation, that is over. Our calculation is above that. So that means that we're paying the maximum. We don't pay the amount that we calculated, but we pay the maximum amount because the amount that we calculated is more than the maximum amount, and everybody just pays the maximum, even if they're doing the percentage would be more. Okay, and then income tax. This is a tricky one. So and we're going to talk about more about this next week. So if it's too confusing, no worries about paying too much attention to it right now. So for income tax on the first $50,197, we pay 15%. So Julie makes more than that. So that means we do $50,197 times 0.15 is equal to $7,529.55. 75.29.55. Okay, and then on the next portion of our income that is between $50,197 and $100,392, we pay 20.5%. So we need to figure out how much of our income actually falls in that bracket. We know that she doesn't have more than that amount, so she's only going to be in that bracket, but we don't know how much because we've already taxed some of her money. So to figure that out, we say, okay, well, she makes $55,000 a year in total, and we've already taxed $50,197. So we're going to subtract that. So $4,803 is how much is in the second tax bracket. Sorry, I can't find my pencil. $4,803 times 0.205. So we do that calculation equals $984.62, $984.62. So then in total, the taxes that she pays is adding these to the two tax brackets amounts. So $7,529.55 plus $984.62 is equal to $8,514.17. 8514.17. So that's how much income tax she would pay over the course of the year. So then her net income, we do 55,000, take away our EI deductions, $869, and then our CPP deductions, $2,898, and then our income tax, $8,514.17. So we're going to do that subtraction on our calculator. Writing it all down means that if you make a mistake, if you forget a number, if you write a number down wrong by accident, and then put that number in your calculator, helps me track it, helps me understand where you maybe went wrong. It can be a pain. I know it takes time and space to actually write it all down, but it can be helpful to understand what's going on. So then our answer, so our net income is $42,718.83. 42,718.83. Make sure I got that quite right. I'm gonna check again. Yeah, okay. So that's her annual net income. Then part B says, assuming she's paid biweekly, what is her net pay for one pay period? So what this means is that how much does she actually take home for one pay period? So we can take her annual net pay, $42,718.83, and divide it by 26, because biweekly is 26 payments a year. So we do that and we get $1,643.03. 1643.03. So her biweekly pay, take-home pay, is going to be $1,643.03. And that's how we figure out the deductions. All right, keep going. Number 4, Bert works a minimum wage job. If he works more than 38 hours in a week, he gets paid time and a half. So because this is talking about working more than his usual hours and getting paid time and a half, we know that this is an overtime question. So part A, how much does Bert earn in a regular work week? So assuming that a regular work week is 38 hours, that's what it's seeming to indicate. If Bert makes minimum wage, that's $15 an hour times 38 hours. So doing that on our calculator, 15 times 38 is equal to 570. So in a usual week, Bert earns $570. Part B, 1 week, Bert earns 48, works 48 hours. So what is his pay for that week? So we already know what it is for 38 hours. So we just need to figure out what the extra 10 hours are. But we need to figure out what the rate is. So what is the overtime rate? So he gets paid time and a half for overtime work. So that's 15 is his usual rate times time and a half. So 15 times 1.5 is 2250. And with time, you might get remembering. I remembered it was 22 something, but I didn't remember what was 2250. So his overtime rate is 2250. So that means for the overtime hours, earns for 10 hours, so 10 times 22.50 is going to be 225 dollars is his overtime work. That's how much he gets paid for overtime. So then his total pay for the week is going to be his regular amount, so 570 plus his overtime amount, which is 225. And so that equals $795 is how much he would make in that week. Okay. Number 5, Claudia would like to earn $500 a week. She has 3 part-time job offers. Which should she choose and why? So far, we're not quite sure what kind of question this is. Job A pays $10 an hour for 24 hours a week. Job B pays $7 an hour for 18 hours a week, plus 5% commission on sales that usually average to about $2,500 a week. And then job C pays $6.85 an hour plus $10 each hour in tips for about 16 hours per week. So figure out which job she's going to pay. This is a commission job because we have to figure out which one we have some commission to figure out. So we're going to have to do it in 3 parts. We're going to have to look at all the jobs and figure out what is the best option for Claudia. So if for job A pays $10 an hour for 24 hours a week, so that means we do 10 times 24 equals $240 a week. Okay, so we know what that is. Obviously, none of this is minimum wage. This is not an actual realistic job. Even if you're working part-time, you still should be paying minimum wage. You're working less hours, not for a lower rate. But this is just math. So sorry, I needed to tweak those to make them more realistic. Okay, so job B pays $7 an hour for 18 hours a week, plus 5% commission. So first, let's find the base wage. So the base wage is $7 times 18 hours. So 7 times 18 hours is equal to $126. So she makes a base wage of $126. And then she earns, so that her commission is 5%, so 0.05 times 2,500. So this says on sales that usually average to about 2,500 a week. Obviously, we don't know, we can't know exactly how much it's going to be, but this gives us a rough estimate that usually, sometimes it might be a little bit more, sometimes it might be a little bit less, but that gives us a rough idea of how much it usually is. So then we calculate that. So 0.05 for 5% times 2,500 equals $125. So add them together and we get $251 is how much she would make in job B. And then job C, we look and we say, okay, so it's $6.85 an hour plus about $10 each hour in tips for about 16 hours per week. So we're going to see, so for the wage, it is $6.85 times 16. $6.85 times 16 is equal to $109.60. And then the tips are $10 an hour times, so 16 hours a week. So that's 160. So then the total, we add them together, and that's $269.60. So we figured out how much she would make roughly a week for each of those jobs. And so then we look and we can see, all right, so none of them are going, she'd like to earn $500 a week. So none of them would she earn enough to make $500 a week. So job A is $240 a week, job B is $251 a week, and job C is $269.60 a week. So she can't just work one of those jobs. If it was possible, she could work two of the jobs and make $500 a week. So job C makes the most for the least number of hours. She makes $269.60 for only 16 hours of work. So that looks like a good one to consider. And then the other two, she could pick either one of the other two and she would still make $500 a week. But job B is for 18 hours, whereas job A is for 24 hours. So job B, she makes more per hour. She makes $250 for only 18 hours, whereas she makes $240, she makes less money and works more hours for job A. So Claudia could work both jobs B and C to make $100 a week if scheduling allowed. Because if they happened at the same time, that wouldn't work. We don't know what the jobs are. So we can't guarantee, who knows, maybe they're both serving jobs and so they both would, yeah, who knows. But that's the only way that she would make $500 a week. Okay, let's keep going. All right, number 6. Below is a list of expenses. Decide if they are fixed or variable and what the monthly amount for each would be. Okay, so I've organized this in a table and just to sort of keep it easier to understand. So we have a list of expenses, we have the frequency, so how often we pay that, we have amount that we pay at that frequency, then we need to decide if it's fixed or variable, and then we need to figure out what the monthly amount is. So rent is monthly and it's $750, and that is a fixed amount, right? Rent is going to always be the same. And so monthly, it's going to be $750. Utilities are monthly for $300. That is also fixed. We're going to assume utilities can be complicated if it includes heat, because that can vary, but utilities, we're just going to say is fixed. Car insurance is monthly for $200. Car insurance is also fixed for monthly $200. Groceries are weekly for $150. So groceries are variable. It depends, but you're sort of budgeting $150 weekly. So then for the monthly amount, you can do like roughly there's like 4 to 4.5 weeks per month. So I would say, to be on the safe side, do 4.5 times your 150. So 4.5 times 150 equals 675. So the monthly amount for groceries is going to be about 655. 675, 675, my bad. My computer is not liking me. Okay, sorry. So groceries are going to be roughly $675 a month. Internet is monthly for $95. That's fixed. Monthly for $95. Cell phone is monthly for $100. That's also fixed. Gas is weekly for $90. That's variable. You don't know how much gas you're necessarily going to use. So again, 4.5 times 90 equals $405 a month in gas. Entertainment is weekly at $30, so that is variable. So 4.5 times 30 is, you could just do 4 because 4 might be easier to just multiply. That's fine. 4.5 times 30 is 135. I'm budgeting on the higher end to give myself some wiggle room. And then miscellaneous, because sometimes you just don't know what might come up. This in my budget, I call this stuff I forgot to budget for, but just miscellaneous things that you can't be guaranteed or sure about. So 4.5 times 70. 4.5 times 70 is 350. Okay, so part A, determine the net monthly income that would be needed to pay all the fixed expenses. So basically, how much are all your fixed expenses? So we have rent, $750, plus utilities, $300, plus car insurance, $200, plus internet, $95, plus cell phone, $100, plus, oh no, that's the last one. Okay, so that equals, so add them all together. Again, writing them down means that you have already figured out which ones are the fixed costs and organize them, but you can do what makes most sense for you. So that's $1,445. So you'd have to take home at least $1,445 to cover all of your fixed expenses every month. And then what net income would be needed to cover all the expenses? So your fixed expenses. So we already added those ones up, plus your variable expenses. So $675 for groceries, plus $405 for gas, plus $135 for entertainment, and plus $350 for your miscellaneous. So adding those up gets us to almost there, $2,975. So you would have to have a net income. So how much you take home would have to be at least $2,975 a month in order to cover all of your expenses. All right, number 7. Oh, that was above the expenses question. I thought that, sorry, that was probably, I don't know, obvious. A worker at Jameson Vitamins earns $21.60 an hour plus double time for any work over 35 hours a week. How much would you or would the worker earn if you worked 45 hours in a week? So this is an overtime question because we're talking about overtime. So overtime rate is double time. So let's first figure out what the overtime rate is. So double time means that it is 2 times the amount. So 2160 times 2 is going to be 4320. Okay, so that's your rate for your overtime hours. So then to figure out if you worked in 1 week, so the regular amount is going to be 2160 times 35 hours. So 2160 times 35 is equal to 756. And then your extra, you work an extra 10 hours. So, and that's going to be at 4320. So that times 10 is going to be $432. So then your total is going to be $1,188 for that week. So part B, assuming you worked 45 hours a week consistently, what would your annual salary be if you worked 50 weeks a year? So if we get generally $1,188 every week because we're always working overtime, which is probably problematic, but anyway, and work 50 weeks a year. So we do 1,188 times 50. And that means that we're making $59,400 a year with all that overtime. Okay. All right. And I think this is our last question, which we'll quickly do. For a fundraiser, community members sold raffle tickets for a 50-50 draw. The tickets were sold at $2 per ticket. How much money would be raised if one person sold this many tickets? So this is a piecework question because it's like how many per piece. So we're looking for how much money would we raise, and for every ticket sold, they raise $2, right? Because 2 goes into the 50-50 draw to be the prize, and $2 are the is what's being raised. So $2 times 25 tickets is equal to $50. $2 times 250 is equal to $500, and $2 times 1,000 is equal to $2,000 raised. And that's a piecework question. All right, we don't have time to do this last one. So we are done about halfway through Unit 1. So you can submit lessons 1 through 3 if you would like. If you want to wait until you're done all the way lessons 1 through 5, that is totally fine. You can submit them each lesson, just like you can submit lesson 1, lesson 2. It's easiest for me if you submit a completed lesson opposed to part of a lesson, just in terms of tracking. But we can communicate with that if that doesn't work best for you. So please do all of the key questions, show all of your work. Make sure you're not skipping any. If you do skip one, go back to it. Totally fine to skip one and come back to it, but just make sure that when you're handing it in, you're handing in all of your work so you get marks for all of your understanding and all of the work that you're doing. If you have any questions, of course, please reach out to me. I will touch base, but also you need to reach out to me if you're struggling with anything or you have any questions. So my number is 807-737-1488 or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My email address is bronwyn.slate, which is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. You can connect with me through Facebook at bslatewasa. You can watch this replay on YouTube, also at bslatewasa. My hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. So I'll connect with you during that time. And remember that this is a long weekend, so I won't be back in the office until Tuesday. I hope that this was helpful of a review to remember what we did this week. And I also hope that you have a lovely long weekend. Thanks so much for joining me. Bewitch.